and it supposedly the temperatures invert and it creates this little corridor that traps them. So meaning that the signals are trapped close to the earth and they're bouncing up and down, up and down, up and down in this little corridor that won't let them out. And so then that way, because that corridor is part of the atmosphere and that atmosphere is naturally contouring to the globe, that little hallway is also going around the globe. So as the signal gets trapped in it, it goes along around the globe with it. And so the signal just stays close to the earth, right? It because it's trapped. Meaning if that were true, there's a way to test it. If I were to go above that little corridor, right, I shouldn't be receiving the signal.
Quick question for you, Witsit. Whatever method is used for getting these radio waves all those hundreds of miles, it doesn't happen with light, like visible light. So it must be something that is relative to the frequency, like it only works for radio waves, right? Because we never see this happen with light. You can't just like look out one day and, oh, hey, there's Everest over the hill. So what do you think it is that makes it radio wave specific?
The frequency of the light, which radio is light. The shorter the wavelength, the more it'll refract. The longer the wavelength, the less refraction it'll have. So if you were to draw it as a curve, the curve would be it'll be a tighter curve if it's more on the gamma ray end. So to answer your question, this being radio, its rate of refraction will be less than visible light. And that is a variable one has to get to the bottom of investigating all this. Does all of this line up?
Like what I will say here, right? Like, I, of course, a lot of people know this, right? Like, I think that the mainstream interpretation of light is completely wrong. So, whatever. I mean, like, I don't bring it up oftentimes because, admittedly, it's a very like nuanced conversation that turns into a very like in depth one, and it's like admittedly the most confounding phenomena ever, maybe, but um when if you start to move over in that direction where you're going to ask me a question that's fundamentally tied to or like it's tied to the fundamental nature of light. I don't know, I mean, like, I don't have the same understanding of light as everyone else, right? Like, um whatever. I think the light's already there. I think the radio signal's already there. I think that the visible and non-visible light's already there. It's already everywhere. It doesn't travel anywhere, and it's simply being excited into a detectable frequency. So, whatever. But and it has a rate of induction, so it becomes like detectable, perceptible, visible, depending on its frequency at a certain rate, but it isn't actually traveling. It would be like a rope that was stretched super tight, not moving, and then I came and thumped it, and it took a second for the other side to get the reverberation of the thump. But it was, if you asked me how long did it take the rope to get to the other side, I'd be like, well, that's a dumb question. It was already there. It's like how long did it take the rope to vibrate on the other side? But anyway, yeah, radio waves and microwaves have much longer wavelengths. So that's the answer. This all started kind of right because we're talking about me seeing the sun and like how could I still think it's flat or whatever. And it's like, this is my answer, right? Like, I didn't just go get memory wiped in Antarctica. Like, I didn't touch down on the ice and someone pulled out like a Men in Black gun, like a Men in Black suits didn't run up there and memory wipe me. In fact, my experience was like everyone on the trip, didn't really like that I was there because I was very clearly not going to just leave there pretending like saying it was a globe. And I made that very clear before I went. I made it clear before I accepted the invitation. I made it clear in the interviews asking me to go. I made it clear in the negotiations of the contract that I wrote. I made it clear the whole time, right? And, whatever. So then we went there. We saw it was cool. It was very pretty. I mean, like, I was over it after one day. Like, I saw the sun wasn't going down and, I wasn't going to go climb a mountain. So, it was cool. It was a cool experience. But, like, anyway, to me, it seems wild that like I'm gonna come back to the United States and suddenly forget or pretend it no longer matters that I have this long list of like geometric refutations, things that are much better understood in the sky from my perspective, right? I mean, people love to claim they understand the sky, but they don't. They absolutely do not. Um, so yeah, I know that's not what people want to hear me say. I mean, flat earthers wanted to hear me, I guess, spoon feed an explanation and pretend I do know how the sky works. A lot of them, and then,
Did you
um,
did you actually come to any understanding or explanation of the counter rotating sun circles that you saw?
I mean, like, not like a definitive one or anything, right? But like the two at the top of the list for me probably is what does kind of make a lot of intuitive sense in many ways, but does have issues is like, this electromagnetic field has 2 points of rotation. Um, and so this idea that you have kind of like the straight area in between the 2 points of counter rotations, which is just a very common phenomena of electromagnetism and like the phenomena that makes the whole realm work, right? So like it would kind of make perfect sense that the sky operates that way. Like if we were able to incorporate observations into an electromagnetic field, I would be stoked because it would make everything make sense. Um, so, I've entertained that a bit, where like when you look up at the equator and you see this like straight line and then you see stars moving one way and then the other way on both sides of it, that you're literally seeing what's actually happening. And yeah, I mean that's interesting. And then the other one would be like dome optics. And I would admit that would be pretty wild, but does still make sense. Like I said earlier, if you're walking over a ball and then as you get to the equator, you're just basically curving down. If you were walking over a plane inside of a dome, like if you're looking up at that dome and you're walking underneath it, as you walk out towards the edge, it's curving down. And so if there were layers of a curved dome that I'm looking at with my eyeballs, is it possible that the phenomenon in the sky is going to like compress down, compress and curve down, and then if I looked at the sky, not knowing that, could I like even in good faith, right? Like transpose that onto the ground? I would say, yeah. Like what that would mean is when you get out to the edge, it would mean kind of like if the sun's moving and it gets out to the edge, then it creates kind of like a personalized sun, and that just is apparent and moves. Like the reason that I was like, I didn't just jump on boards like the dome optics explanation and whatever variation of it that was
It gets
proposed.
to the edge of
What
what?
it flipped upside down, right? Like I was the one really pushing that we had to make sure we got a good observation of the sunspots. And I was like, actually had to remind a bunch of people and I would really press the issue. And the sunspots were upside down.
So that
Right.
sun that you
So
saw there, it relates to the ground somehow that you were standing on, right?
not
It's a
really, other
different
than it
sun.
warms it up, right? Like I mean, I will it excludes certain model claims, but it's independent of physical measurements of the ground.
So it's not over the Tropic of Capricorn. It wasn't. The sun you
I
saw wasn't over the Tropic of Capricorn.
I mean, that's like a tricky question, right? The sun I saw, am I seeing the same sun as them? Because there's only one sun, but it just has an apparent position relative to me. Then the answer would technically be yes and somewhat be no. Or would it be a different sun? I don't know.
So you're kind of with the flat earthers who don't believe that exists or that you even went there almost, even though you went there. You don't really
What?
have,
How?
you don't have an understanding of it at all.
That's right. Do,
Is it?
do you have an understanding? Wait, can you, genuine question. Like, can you explain to me how it makes sense to arbitrarily select certain parts of the sky that you have to have a full understanding of, and like other parts you can't understand at all, but one makes like is like make or break, and then the rest are not? Because I really can't like I don't understand the like logical consistency. Like what I guess what I'm saying is like, why do I need to understand the sun, right? And if that's a requirement to substantiate any other claims, like, is the earth curving, then like, could I not ask you how you explain a bunch of other things in the sky?
Well, you'd be happy to use the sun in the north, wouldn't you?
Witsit, I mean, the short
I would
answer
use the
is
sun
consistent.
I would use the sun
That's
wherever I
something
went,
consistent.
like,
You would use it, wouldn't you?
what do you mean use it?
Well, use it for whatever means you want. I mean, it's not an illusion, is it? Is the sun in the north an illusion as well?
I very well believe that the sun could be in a apparent position for everyone that sees it everywhere. Yeah.
Because
Witsit, I mean, the short answer
it seems like you were on. That's the kind of the front line. It seems. You've just been talking a load of nut stuff about microwaves that nobody can seemingly prove or come to a definitive on one side or the other. Before you went to Antarctica, the way they were saying that didn't exist. There wasn't a 24-hour sun. So, you have been privileged to go to the front line and see something, and we all consider that observation. And before that, there was only one sun. Now it seems
short answer
like
is
there's
why
two
you're
suns or a reflection of a sun, but that sun you saw has a GP, right?
the
Or
short
not?
answer, Witsit,
Yeah.
is like you.
So
If the
when you're
globe
at
can
79
expand
degrees
in
south, hang on.
years,
When you're at
right?
79 degrees south, the sun was above your head for 24 hours. You were looking south at the sun in the south. Where would you expect the GP of the sun to be?
Over there underneath it.
Well, yeah, what in unknown lands or?
What? No, what? Like you act
Well,
like
the
I
sun has a
shifted my
GP, right?
position.
The sun has a
Like,
GP, right?
yes, the apparent
Yeah.
sun, yeah.
And you were at the edge of flat Earth, the outward distance of flat Earth that's known so far by you, and you viewed the sun looking south. The sun was in the south, and where was the GP of the sun be? Does that relate to somewhere on the Earth that we know, or does that relate to a place we don't know?
But what? Like, I don't know what the
Tell me
sun
what?
is exactly. So I mean, I don't know what you're lost about. Do not interrupt me within 3
I'm
words,
not
please.
lost.
I'm
Well,
not
don't
sure.
tell me
I'm
not
not
to.
sure.
Don't do that. Don't do that, Witsit.
Well,
Don't
you
do
just
that. All
were
right.
really long.
It's
Well,
not a debate. It's not. I'm just asking you some questions because you were
it doesn't
privileged
need
to
to be a
go there,
debate for
right?
you to not interrupt me.
Yeah, but that's what you do, and I told you that when you play that game, I don't accept that.
What,
Right?
not
It's not a
interrupt you?
conversation.
Like, what the fuck, dude?
All right?
Asking you
Does the
not to
sun
interrupt
have
me is a
Does
game.
the
Like,
sun have
no.
a GP in the south?
Oh my God.
This dude
What,
sucks.
I
Dude.
answered it. I answered that 3 times. I said yes.
Well,
The
that
apparent
would
sun
correspond to the almanac, would it not?
with the what?
The almanac would tell you what the GP of the sun would be, wouldn't it?
We do have an almanac, yeah.
And that doesn't work in the south where you saw the sun. That almanac doesn't relate to that sun you saw.
Did
Bro,
I
what
say
is your
that?
point? What is your point?
I said, well, the point is, what would the GP of the sun be?
Okay, let me
Looking
explain. Let me
Look,
explain it like
hang
this.
on a sec.
No,
Because
so
when
you're
I've
not
asked
trying to
you,
talk to me. You're just trying to repeat your point over and over.
no, I'm just, well, you might think that. But up till now, you're the only person that, apart from Jaren, that I could ask about that. All the other flat earthers,
Okay.
they say
So
you
then
just
why
turn
wouldn't you let me
around.
speak?
Hang on. Oh, you can speak. You speak all the time. You have the power to speak. You have the power to mute me. You got all sorts of power that I don't have. All right.
But you're pretending that you're
All
like
the other people
wanting
I
to
asked
speak to
about it.
me, and then you're not talking to me. So it's weird.
Well, I'm just telling you what I'm saying. Up to this point, and still
There's
now,
an
if I ask
almanac. The
people
sun has a
the sun,
GP. You went to the south. You saw the sun south of you at 79 degrees. Does it have a GP? Are you going to say it again?
does it have a GP?
Yes.
And where would the almanac say that is?
Over there underneath it.
Well, where would that be, though, in relation to you?
Holy shit, dude.
Uh,
Why would he know that off the top of his head?
Bro,
Because
you
the
mean like
almanac,
you?
we have a position for it.
Okay, I don't have an almanac in my hand, but
But
over
that would
there,
be the Tropic of Capricorn, would it not?
On
Somewhere.
a
Sure.
flat Earth? Sure. Like what, dude?
Okay. Okay, so technically,
are
that
you
sun
seriously
you're looking
building
at,
up to say the whole? How could the sun be over Australia and over you at the same time on a flat Earth?
I'm not claiming it is, I'm just asking you what you think.
No, I'm
Is
saying like
it?
that's what your question is.
Is the sun over Australia or not?
Well, yeah, okay.
Oh my
The
god.
the Australia has a sun over them that they see, right? An apparent sun. So we have a couple options. I answered it in good faith, right? And I said I don't really know, but the two top answers for me is either the sun is in an apparent location relative to the observer, and that we have something to do with dome optics playing a role, and that since it's actually curving down as you go outward, you could logically assume that you're tipping over instead of the sky tipping over. Or you could look at another possibility of like an electromagnetic field, because like to me, what that changed significantly for me is it significantly changed my opinion on the viability or possibility of like an actual two pole system, right? And so
So
that's
is that
it.
your
Like
position now, the two-pole flat Earth model? Is that where you've moved to?
I don't know how much clearer I can make it, right? Like, I'm not claiming a model. I didn't claim a model before we went, and I haven't claimed a model in 8 years since I've talked about this, because to me, it would be insane to think that we have a model. You know,
Yeah,
you
but
think you have a
words are
model.
pictures,
You
right?
think you have
Words
a
are
model.
pictures.
You think you have a model. You don't.
I don't have a
You
model.
don't have a model.
I don't think I have a
I know.
model.
So why do I need
Right?
one?
Well, I mean,
Because your words make pictures. So far, you've been painting a picture for everybody.
Well, wait.
You think
Why
another
do I need a
picture,
model, but you don't
now
need a
you're
model?
painting it. Now you're painting it as an illusion.
What? No, I didn't say that. It could be, and it could actually be where
It
where
could
we
be.
saw
It's
it, and it could be a two.
speculation.
Yeah, duh,
Right.
because it's something in the sky I can't verify.
The
Like,
sun does have
can
a
you?
GP.
But if the
Has a
sun's an
Bro,
position.
illusion, it's
are you
only in
like
the south.
are you like a robot?
Yeah,
I
well,
just answered that
the
question as well. I said
two-pole
no.
flat
I think that
earthers.
even in the north, it's an apparent position relative to the observer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think a better
but of course,
question
in your
would
guy,
be,
You
in
were
your
looking
guys'
north
world,
when
you
you were
think
looking
that
south,
too,
right?
right? Like you think the sun's not actually there when we see it all the time.
Well, I know it's
But
going
that's
in different
okay.
directions.
No.
Where I
What?
am,
You think
it
that the
goes from left
sun's
to
not
right. And
there
where
when we
you
see it?
were in the Antarctica, it was going right to left.
Yeah, okay. So that isn't even the hard part of this scenario for me. Okay. Like I was the one that brought you guys, and this is my opinion, whatever. Like humbly, to me, the fact that the sun stayed up for 24 hours wasn't even the biggest piece of evidence for the globe on that trip. It was that it did that while the sunspots were inverted. Okay. That's very interesting, right? So like any claim of an apparent position or like something like that has to incorporate an inversion, right? Now, this is why I keep on trying to articulate this idea in my mind to you of if I was walking underneath a dome and this dome is curving down, right? You can see where you could mistake that as you were walking on a ground curving down over a sky that was just basically quote unquote flat, just like sitting still, right? Like you think you're tipping, but the actual sky is tipping. So then when you get all the way out to the edge of that, it would tip, flip. Okay. So I'm not saying that is what's happening. I'm just saying, like, you're basically what you just came in here and said is just a bunch of microwaves and stuff that nobody can figure out. What do you mean, dude? We can figure out the microwaves way more than we can figure
I'm
out
asking you
stuff
about this.
in the sky.
Well, it's one of those conversations you've had for a long time that doesn't have any resolution, like gravity
Okay.
or pressure.
Do you know what gravity is?
Just backwards and forwards. But
Do you know what gravity is?
you physically saw a sun
Do you know what
when
gravity
you
is?
in Antarctica, and it went from right to left.
Do you know what the sun is?
Not specifically, no.
So why are you asking me?
Because I thought that where you were, that the sun would have a GP. Wherever you saw
Okay,
it,
but you're asking me
would
what
have a
it is and
GP that
how it
relates
works.
to the almanac.
But you're not just asking me about if it has a GP. You're asking me what it is and how it works.
And
No, I'm
you're
not.
older, Elder Bear.
I
You're
was
older.
asking for
You're
your
older than
understanding.
Witsit.
I'm not. You know, I'm just listening to what you have to say about it. That's all.
Yeah, dude, you're
I'm
older than
arguing
Witsit,
about it.
so you lived longer, so
When
you
I
should know
spoke, hang on.
what
When
the
I
sun is.
spoke to,
All right, just talk over everyone, Elder Bear. Good job.
I'm not
You
talking to you.
suck.
I was talking to Witsit.
Yeah, you
Well, I wasn't
suck.
talking to you. I was talking to Witsit. Fuck you.
You're fucking
You
awful,
suck
bro.
too. Yeah, I know I'm awful. I'm always awful whenever I speak to anybody. Terrible. And when I spoke to the two whole flat Earth guys, they said that when you were looking south, or when you would have been looking south when you were, and you saw the sun, you're actually looking north. Do you think that?
Okay. No.
Right, okay. So that was their position. Then there are other flat earthers who say you just turn
I
around.
don't care
You
what
just have to
other
turn
people
around, right?
say.
Yeah, and Witsit's one of those people who's just say. You're one of those people.
Okay. Do you know
just
what
say.
north and south is?
You're
How do we
crushing.
determine north and
Elder
south?
Bear, you're crushing
come on.
right now. Keep it up.
How do we determine what north and
Yeah.
south is?
You just say.
Elder Bear, how do
I'm
we determine what
asking
north and
about
south
your
is?
experience and what you got from it. That's all.
Cool. Okay. So you're asking me about north and south. How do we determine what that is?
I didn't ask you about north and south, did I?
You literally
Holy
just
shit.
did.
Well, you were at 79 degrees south. At some point,
Okay,
you
there
were.
we are. You're saying south again.
Yep, that's
What is
right.
south? What is
What
south?
was east then when you were doing that? Where was
What
east
is
and
east?
west?
Bro,
What is east, west, north, and
answer the
south?
It's a
question,
cardinal
Elder Bear.
direction. It's a cardinal
Elder Bear,
direction.
what are the, how do we know what those are?
They're cardinal directions. We know they're cardinal directions.
Okay, how do we determine cardinal directions?
Well, that's what they've always been: north, south, east, and west.
That's what they've always been. How do we determine them?
Sun rises in the east, sets in the west, exactly on the equinox, and
So we're just
That
we're
doesn't
trying to
answer
figure
the
out,
question, though.
but like we're trying to figure out how we determine them, and you're telling me like an observation based on assuming them. So like,
Yeah, you guys
how
should
do we
know this.
determine them?
Well, you know, it takes you into your east-west circles.
Holy
Like,
shit.
dude, how do we
Are they really
how do
this
we
dumb?
determine them?
Wow.
Well, you're going to use a compass, right?
Okay. So we're going to use a compass. How's a compass work? How does a compass work to help us know what directions are?
Well, that's where you get a circle and you start painting pictures about the shape of the Earth.
Bro, what?
You would be a lot better off not assuming what I'm saying and just like answer
Well,
the
you're going to
simple
go.
question.
Your east and west goes in the circle, right?
So does yours, dude. Like, just answer the question.
Yeah, and that's where the sun follows that path, doesn't it? On that circle.
Dude, can you answer? Hey, do you not even get the point I'm trying to make? Clearly, you don't, right? But
He's
I
how
intelligent.
does the
I
compass
do.
work? Because you're invoking these cardinal directions as though they are gospel. And so I'm saying,
It's a
okay, there
little-
must
it's
be a
a little
very
point that's
definitive.
floated into-
You
it's a little
cannot
point
have a
that's floated
conversation,
into
brother.
liquid.
Dude,
All right. It's a little
chill a little
point
bit, man.
that's floating in some liquid that's supposedly is weighted at one end to make it float in the water, in the liquid. Otherwise, it wouldn't be floating, right? You're pointing down on the north end.
Okay, so they align based on the needle aligns based on the magnetic field lines, right?
Points to some magnetic place, apparently.
Okay, so if we
That's not the
start with
North
the
Pole, is it?
assumption that we have to start with the assumption the Earth's a globe with a magnetic field with a north and a south, and then we know those locations, and then we know how the compass interacts with those locations, and then we know what the needle points to based on that location and the magnetic field lines within it, and where we're approaching relative to that. And then conveniently, as we go out towards one of these poles, we claim that the geographic and the magnetic North Pole are separated by hundreds and hundreds of miles. And so as I start to get closer and closer to where we were, right, the compass is no longer correct. And they claim conveniently where we were at that the magnetic pole was on the other side of the geographic pole. So it'll still point towards the geographic pole because it's actually pointing to the magnetic pole beyond that. Okay. Do you see some problems here? Right. Like, okay, that's a
I'm
claim.
thinking
I
about
don't
your
know.
magnetic
I like,
field where you were in Antarctica. That's what I'm thinking about.
yeah, but do you
So
realize
that
that the
was
magnetic field
a
doesn't,
circular thing, was it? Is it a circular field or?
well, this is what you're claiming, right? Like
I'm
you
not
keep
claiming
invoking the
anything. I haven't
directional.
made a claim, Witsit. I never made a claim. I'm
Yeah,
only
you
asking you
did.
questions about your experience, and you want to go somewhere else now.
No, you told me that I was
Your experience,
79
because you're the
degrees
only person I
south.
can talk to about it, right?
You told me I was
I
79
accept
degrees
you went
south.
there, which is unusual because most
Bro,
people don't
you're just,
accept. Well, a lot of people don't.
Dude, will you let him
Carter,
answer?
you are
Jesus,
so
Elderman.
rude, man. Stop interrupting.
Okay, you got this, dude. Keep crushing
Yeah,
it.
okay. So,
to call an 800 number